Hey, how's it going, YouTube? How y'all doing today? I went and got my loans yesterday. So I got accepted for one loan on the spot. I got another loan that they put me on as for pending. So I'm pending a loan until Monday. So yesterday they cleared me for $18,000 on the spot. And I got another loan that I signed up for that I don't know how much exactly I'm gonna get. But they're gonna let me know on Monday how much I got. My goal was to get $50,000 of capital. So I was looking to get $50,000 of capital, and I was willing to pay $500 a month for it. And so with zero interest. And so as of right now, I've got $18,000. I've got another loan that is in pending right now that I need to get on. That I'll be getting my notification on Monday. They're gonna call me and let me know if my loan cleared on Monday. And then I guess, well, after that it's off to the races for me. But when I look at these things, like I was thinking about this morning, right? If I was going to illustrate in like a story of what I do here on this farm, you know, it would be like somebody who was, you know, like these people who guide people through the mountain, right? The Sherpas, I think is what they call them. You know, a lot of people, they can't make it through the mountain, right? They can't make it through the mountain. A lot of people say it's too dangerous, it's too difficult, nobody makes it through the mountain. But there are people on the planet, there are people in the world who just walk up and down this mountain like it's nothing, right? And they've just been doing it their whole life. And if I were going to say, I'm not saying I'm a Sherpa, but I'm saying, you know, to me, it's kind of just not, it's just a waste of time, right? For me to listen to any potential idea of this being a waste, or this being too dangerous, or this being too whatever, you know. Oh man, you know, nobody makes it. Oh man, you know, this is, you know, this work is so hard. Why would you go and do this out of everything you could do? You know, why this? Why it's just a waste of time for me to listen to that stuff, because you know, when I look back, right? When I look back and I look at what I've done, I mean, it's not like I made it here by accident, right? I mean, a lot of these things that I do, I did with intention. I did it with purpose. You know, when I fed these animals you know, when I feed these animals soybean hay in a mixture of corn, and the soybean hay is 60% TDN, 16% protein, and I put a calcium supplement in their feed, and then I, you know, all these stuff, it's not like I did it on accident, right? It's not like, you know, this stuff, I could redo all of it if I felt like it. You know, if an animal gets sick, I can notice that the animal is sick within the first 2 days of being sick, and I could give it a strong antibiotic. You know, stuff like it's not like an accident, right? I mean, all of this stuff, if I had to redo it, I could redo it all over again. Even if I had nothing, I could do it all over again. You know, like I went last week and I got a loan from the bank. You know, I'll probably end up with about $40,000. And if I need to, I can just go to a different bank. The thing I didn't like about this bank that I went to is that the manager, he lied to me. The manager, I caught him lying. I caught him lying through his teeth. And I remember I was sitting there talking to this banker yesterday, and I sat there and I wondered, you know, I wonder if this man knows that I know that he is lying to me right now. And you know, I sat there and I listened to him for a little bit, and I said, I remember thinking about that when I was talking to this man, because he told me, you know, oh, don't ping your credit too much. You know, trying to find loans. You know, all the, you know, he told me, don't ping your credit too much looking for loans. It's gonna mess up your debt to income ratio. And I said, well, how did he just go from pinging my credit to talking about my debt to income ratio? Because the only way for me to increase my debt to income ratio is to take on more debt. And I didn't take on debt. I pinged my credit 14 times last year looking for loans. And I was like, I wonder if this man knows. You know, I probably make more money than him. You know, I may be about half of his age. You know, he may be almost twice my age, but I probably make more money than him, and it's probably a lot more money. And I was like, I wonder if this man knows. Like, I wonder if he knows that I know that I just caught him lying, real bad too, right? And you know, cause you know, I just go down the street and open up another and you know, and ask for more loans. Last year, you know, on my credit profile, I had pinged my credit 14 times looking for loans to purchase these cattle. And so, you know, I don't know, but I caught that banker lying yesterday, and I didn't like that. You know, cause my whole thing is, you know, don't lie. If you get caught being a liar in business, it's real bad. You know, if you get caught being a thief, a liar, it's real bad. If you get caught being an idiot, a moron, very bad. You know what I'm saying? Your work speaks for yourself, right? And so, you know, I was talking to this banker yesterday, and it was and I caught him lying to me several times. And I was like, I don't know if you know, I don't know what to think about this banker. But you know, I ain't coming back to do big business with this banker at all, ever. You know, because I ain't gonna do business with a liar. I ain't gonna do business with a moron. I ain't gonna do business with, you know, with someone like that. You know, why would I? I can do business with whoever I want, right? And so I got my loans cleared. I got another set of loans being sent to me on Monday. Or I'm gonna get the notifications for them on Monday. And then I'll need to start putting animals together. But me, you know, I know that if I were given $50,000, I know that I can turn it into about I can double it in about 6 months. I know that I can. It's not a question of can I. You know, when I didn't know what I was doing, right? When I genuinely did not know what I was doing, you know, and I still had to go for it, and I still had to apply myself, and I still had to, you know, it took a lot to get here. I didn't just wake up knowing what I was doing, right? You know, it took a lot of effort, it took a lot of time, it took a lot of, you know, it took a lot of everything. It took a lot of character, you know, because you got to deal with a lot of stuff, you know, just walking through life, especially if you don't know what you're doing. And then you're gonna have to deal with people who you know, who just always get up on you about just nonsense. Oh, why you doing this? Oh man, why you doing that? Oh man, you know, this, that, you know, just nonsense, right? And then it's like, but that's the thing about money, is that money's objective. You know, like if I made $70,000, I made $70,000, right? I mean, what are they gonna say? You didn't make $70,000? I did make $70,000. You know, and if I paid half of that back to the bank, right? You know, I paid half of that back to the bank. I still got to keep $35,000. And so, you know, that's the thing, is that, you know, if the bank gives me $50,000, I can turn it into $100,000. You know, if I do that twice a year, I've paid the bank back, because let's say I make $50,000, right? And then I make $100,000. I pay the bank back $50,000, and then I take another $50,000, and then I make another $100,000. Well, technically, I've made $100,000 that year. I mean, not even technically. Realistically, I've made $100,000 that year, and so that's what I'm talking about when I say, you know, I probably make about well, gross, I'll probably do about 150,000. And then I'll probably end up keeping about because when I first started this, I didn't know exactly how good I didn't know how good I was doing until I got paid. And then when I got paid was when I realized, man, I'm doing drastically well for myself. This is life-changing money. I mean, you know, if I do this one more time, by March of next year, just the money that I've made from running cattle on these 10 acres, I'll probably have about $80,000 in my bank account cash. After everything, after I've paid back the bank, after I've paid my taxes, everything, I'll probably have about $80,000 left in my bank account by April of next year. That's how drastically well I am doing for myself. And I didn't realize that until I got paid. And so at this point in time, when I look at my life, if the bank gives me 50 grand, I know that I can take that 50 grand and turn it into 100. It's not a matter of can I do it. You know, I can do it. I know I can do it. I've already done it before. And so, you know, I just got to go do it again, right? I mean, it's not, you know, being able to spot sick animals, being able to formulate a proper diet, being able to plant grass. I mean, these are all things that I know that I'm capable of doing. At this point, it's not a matter, it's not a question of can I. You know, if I want to go make the money, I just go make the money. And it's a good thing, right? Like if I have $100,000 cash in my bank account, it's very good, right? It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, you know. And if, you know, I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, why would I see it as a bad thing? You know, it's not like I do dishonest work. It's not like I'm stealing the money from somebody. You know, if I was a crook, if I was running around stealing from people, that'd be different. Having money would be bad, right? Because some people are crooks. A lot of people are crooks. A lot of people are crooked. You know, they'll lie to you. They'll do anything that, you know, they'll walk around, you know, doing anything just to make a few dollars. And it's not good, right? I mean, you know, even if you're not doing well, you can still be honest. And so, you know, I mean, you know, you don't ever got to be a crook. You know, I ain't never been a crook. I ain't never been crooked. You know, I've always done honest work. And you know, if you know, you go back 5 years of my life and talk to people that I used to know, I used to always say that I am probably the greatest farmer. I probably am. I'm not saying like I'm the greatest farmer in the world, but I probably am the if anybody was wanting to compete with me in terms of like crop yields and stuff like that, I was always willing to do it. And usually when people figured out how good I was, I mean, it wasn't even a contest, right? It started off as a contest, and then it just turned out with them getting completely wrecked. I mean, you know, I've always been willing to compete with people in terms of crops. You know, the cattle is something that I've kind of gotten myself into as a new thing, you know, but I was a crop man for a long time before I became a cattle man. And it was very fortunate that I learned how to grow the crops first, because if I didn't know how to grow the crops, I couldn't run this business. I mean, the cattle, if I have to feed them like this, year round, I mean, it's just not good. I almost dropped this camera. I mean, if my feed costs stay hovering around $250 a ton the whole time, it's not good. When I grow my grass, I grow it for about $20 a ton. And so, you know, me, when I graze my grass, I graze it as thoroughly as I can. I want them grazing it all the way down to the dirt. I want them to graze all of it, because these animals. Okay, so when people talk about like these trigger words, right? They're like, oh my God, the fungus in the soil, the bacteria in the soil, the mycorrhiza, and they say all these these trigger words. These people, they don't know what they're talking about. Okay, so like let's say that there are some micronutrient like copper. Plants do physically absorb the copper molecule, and things like molybdenum and stuff like salt and stuff like all that stuff, sulfur, calcium, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, they absorb all that stuff physically, right? And let's say I go over to a different man's farm, like right here, and I bring in some corn, and when the cattle eat corn, the cattle are ingesting the plant material. So this is how the plant materials, they send roots out into the soil, right? Plants have roots, and those roots filter, either they come, as the roots grow, they will come in contact with these different minerals and absorb them, or the water will create a solute. So the water will dissolve the mineral into the water. And as the water passes by the root will physically absorb that mineral. And so these, like, you can replenish the things in the soil by doing things like applying fertilizer, properly applying fertilizer. And as the cattle walk around, let's say I bring in corn, right? I bring in corn from a different farm, and my cattle eat the corn. When they consume the corn, they are ingesting the minerals. And as they walk around the field, they are dropping the minerals back on the ground via their manure. And so usually, like when I run 5, 6, 7 animals an acre, I don't worry about stuff like iron or copper. I have seen iron deficiencies in crops before, and it's it's kind of a pain to deal with. But usually that kind of stuff, like if I'm running 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cattle an acre, you don't really got to worry about that stuff, especially if you're importing feed from a different farm. Like if I'm bringing in corn from a different farm and these cattle are eating corn as a substantial part of their diet, when that corn passes through their diet and they drop a poop, right, and they go around the field and they poop, they're going to drop that stuff. They're going to drop the copper on the ground, and they're going to drop the iron on the ground, and all sorts of stuff, the trace minerals. And these cattle, they poop a lot. But I mean, but like when you run cattle like this, you know, like when I look at my field, right, there's almost no signs of cattle manure. It's because the dung beetles eat it. See, you see this right here? You see how this almost look like dirt? This right here, this look like dirt. It's because the insects eat they physically eat the cattle poop. And so the cattle poop, when you run cattle on a piece of land, like you really don't have to even worry about the manure. You know, the beetles and the flies, they eat it up, and when it rains, they I mean, it kind of washes away, and the beetles, they eat it. Like when the insects get done eating cattle manure, this is actually this used to be a piece of cattle manure right here. You see this in my hand right here? This is what cattle manure looks like after about 3 days after the animals have pooped. So after you know, this is what the manure looks like. It turns into this dust. But it's because the bugs eat it. There's a lot of dung beetles. You can see right here, this is a manure patty right here that's been about halfway eaten by these insects. But when the insects eat it, they turn it into this stuff right here. And it takes about 3 days. So after the animals poop, it only takes about 3 days, and then the insects will eat it all up. And that's why there's almost zero signs of poop out here. You know, it's because these cattle, they've been here for a long time. I have a massive ecosystem of dung beetles. A lot of dung beetles in here. Like if you ever walk out here in the middle of the night, the dung beetles are just flying all over the place. I mean, I have so many dung beetles out here. At first, I didn't know what they were, and I thought they were June bugs, and it kind of freaked me out. And I was like, why are these beetles all over the place? But they're dung beetles, and the dung beetles are eating the poop. And you know, it only takes about 3 days. It only takes about 3 days, and the dung beetles will have eaten the whole manure pile, and then they'll just go around flying around from different pile to pile, and they'll just eat all the piles up. But you know, you don't really got to worry about manure, and all that stuff, it goes right back into the ground. The next time it rains, all that stuff will just go straight back into the ground. This stuff right here, next time it rains, all this stuff right here, this stuff will just go straight back into the ground. I mean, this stuff is, I mean, it's probably got a little bit of you know, all sorts of, you know, the trigger words, right? It's got the bacteria in it. It's got the fungus in it. You know, it probably does, but it probably, you know, you still need to fertilize. The bacteria and the fungus aren't going to create minerals out of thin air, right? I mean, it's just not going to happen. And I know that may hurt a lot of people's feelings, and they may go, oh my God, I'm triggered, you know, oh my God, I can't believe he just said the fungus doesn't grow my plants. Oh my God, the bacteria doesn't grow my plants. But it doesn't. It just doesn't. You need to apply minerals to the soil. But that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.